box kit just to say, hey, thank you for all you've been doing, and give them some Super Bowl merchandise and a lot of fun. And local businesses, too, we've been rewarding, too. So, you're set up there. It looks like you and Joy are all set up there.
We're doing well. So let's go back to your first Super Bowl. I was talking to Troy Aikman the other day, and he said, he goes, I sleep. He goes, I didn't sleep very well before a lot of games. He goes, the night before the Super Bowl, I slept great. He goes, I thought this is easy. He goes, then I ran out of the tunnel. He goes, I don't remember anything for the next 30 minutes. I was just like, oh. So go back to your Super Bowls. You've always been a great pressure player. But go back to the first quarter of both your Super Bowls. Is it different, Russell? Are there more nerves than usual?
I think you have your natural feelings, but honestly, the best part of the game, I've always told people this, is going out for the coin toss. I was fortunate to be captain that year, and me and Heath and Big Red, we went out for the coin toss. And meanwhile, Peyton Manning and Champ Bailey and all these guys were walking across the other side, and they did the coin toss. Hey, welcome the AFC champs, the Denver Broncos, welcome the Seattle Seahawks. It's a lot louder, obviously, with the Seahawks. And then fast forward, you put this, the ref gives the coin toss. He gives the coin toss to Joe Namath, and he's going to do the coin toss. And we've got cool Joe here to do the coin toss. And sure enough, he flips the coin. But I haven't said heads or tails yet. So that kind of calmed my nerves. And Joe leans in. He goes, "Hey, Wilson, I always had a quick release." He kind of winks at me, And so I knew it was going to be a good night that night, just from the jump.
Yeah, that by the way, that game was over rather quickly, and you were sensational. So it's funny because you face Manning and then you face Brady, and when you face Tom. Did Pete Carroll talk a lot that week about, okay, game's not going to be over. Tom's a legend in the second half. Did it feel different facing Brady? I mean, you're on the other sideline of the greatest quarterback ever. Was that in your head? Did you think about it?
No, I think going up against Peyton, how well our defense played the year before, that was amazing, obviously, and we were able to win that game in such great fashion. I think, playing this game, the second time we went to the Super Bowl, we were actually up, I think, by 14 or so.
Yeah.
Late in the game. But our guys our defensive guys, we had a few guys go down and get injured. So that, and he just made his plays. They made our plays. And then, unfortunately, we didn't make that last play at the end, but we had our chances throughout the game. And so, it's football. It's part of the game, And so, I think that, obviously going against Tom and to see him, what he's doing, obviously, I think it's 10th Super Bowl, and him leaving the Patriots, being in Tampa to be with Bruce Arians and all the weapons he has around him, how the guys are doing for him and the defense and how great the defense is. But obviously Tom's, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. And so it's going to be a great matchup to see this game for sure.
Joy and I have said this before. LeBron and Brady are the most committed athletes we've ever seen. And Joy and I have said, you're in the class now, the money you spend on your body. And people could look at Brady, LeBron, and you and think, gosh, Russell has no fun. He's just doing sit-ups and drinking water all day, and it's committed. How do you balance, Russell, being committed and then having a big life and a husband and father? Because you are one of those rare, you're spending 7 figures a year on your body, on the quarterbacking. Is it a tough balance?
Well, I think that the huge part of it is it's got to be a lifestyle. This life is it's got to be a lifestyle. You got to be fully committed to it every day. You study habits, the way you work, the way you prepare, everything else. Obviously, I have a whole performance team and everything else, but really also what goes into it is the mindset. I'm a big believer in the mindset. If you guys ask guys like Tom, LeBron, those guys, myself, it's about the mindset too. And it's, preparing and investing in that part of it too, as well. So that's been a big part of it for my career, to really, sustain success, and how do you do it year in and year out? And then, ultimately I want to play another 10, 15 years. So, I've been thinking about that daily, every day. And you have a whole plan for that. And so, for me, it's the obsession with winning. It's the obsession with the process. You got to love the process more than the end result. And you got to be able to, focus on championships and winning championships. And so all of that together is something that I've been really passionate about and really care about every day. And to be honest with you, you got to sit up in the front of the room and take notes. You got to keep highlighting. You got to keep studying. You got to keep learning. Yeah. And I think that's something that I've always dedicated my game to.
I said it this year, and listen, I'm from the Northwest, And so a lot of my friends, my family are Seahawk fans. And I said, I did feel at the end of this year that the offense was predictable, and I thought it needed to change. And I thought, you're not giving Russell the support he needs. And I said that, and DK Metcalf came out about a week ago and said, listen, man, people they figured us out. You always keep your head high. You're never negative. That's not your jam. That's not who you are. But was there a point this year, Russell, in the middle of it, where you felt like we got a lot of good players here? We're not challenging ourselves. We're not challenging others. Did you ever feel that?
Well, I think the thing for us was, we had such an electric, amazing start at the beginning of the year. I mean, we were able to do everything. We went forward every game, every play, every possession, everything else. We had some bumps in the road. I could have played better. I should have played better. I can do my part too, obviously as well. And I think what happened though was that we had several guys go down up front. We didn't have our starters necessarily and everything else, but also as our defense continued to play better, that's time for us to really take off and to keep going and to keep, preparing at the highest level. And so that's something that we really wanted to be able to do throughout the rest of the season. Unfortunately, we didn't go for it as much. I don't think. I think we got a little bit passive, and we got to make sure that never happens again. We got to make sure that we do everything we can to, like I said, to be playing this Sunday. I mean, that's what it takes. We got great players, and we got our best players. We got to let it go and go forward and everything else. And I think on offense, we didn't adjust, great throughout those tough. We had a couple games where we could have adjusted better. That was last year. And I think that ultimately, this offseason is really about, how can I be the best version of myself and across the board. And I think ultimately, like I said, my mindset's, we should be playing today. And so, or I should say this weekend. And so I think that's really what matters most to me when I wake up every day, every morning, you have that itch.
So when you've been in a couple of Super Bowls, you've played in Rose Bowls and big games and all that stuff. But when you're in a Super Bowl, every play is just bigger. It's going to frame your legacy. That's the reality of it. How do you, when you get into these, again, you've played in so many big games, but in the Super Bowl, I can remember so much about that Super Bowl, that throw up the sideline right before, the end of the game. How do you keep your anxiety down? Like you come out of the tunnel, you're amped up. How do you not overthrow the ball? End of game, you're tired. How do you not force stuff? Super Bowl, massive pressure. Where do you go? Because I never sense it with you. I think you play better from behind than with the lead. I think you play better in the fourth than in the first. How do you get there? Where does your mind go?
I think, first of all, pressure is a privilege, and for me, I try to remain neutral. I try not to get too high. I try not to get too low. I try to be in the middle of the moment. I try to embrace the moment. I think sometimes some people fear the moment. I look forward to the moment. And that's something that I've always been dedicated to. It's something that I've always visualized since I was a young kid. And I've had tons of people tell me I couldn't do this. I can't do that. I won't do that. And, so I'm used to overcoming. I'm an overcomer by nature. And I think that ultimately, I'm grateful that God's given me the opportunity to play this game and do what I love to do. I think that you have to have winning habits. Success doesn't just happen by accident. You have to have winning habits every day. Like I said, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle choice and what you do and how you think about things. And in the midst of the moment, like I said, I look forward to those moments.
I love watching this Super Bowl stuff. My sister didn't even like sports, and now she's a huge Seahawks fan because of you. When you go back and you look at those, look at that, Russell. You're on the sideline against Denver. Was that the greatest? It was probably obviously the greatest sports moment in your life. Can you even go back there emotionally? What you were thinking during that?
Man, win it. It's you hold up that trophy. It's such a gift. And every day you wake up, wanting to do that. Every day you wake up, just that itch, that urge to hold that trophy up again. I think also that night I was thinking about my dad. I was thinking about my dad, just how far he's helped me come, my mom. But my dad, he's no longer living. So he wasn't able to see me in person there, but I believe that he was there with me. And so that was an emotional moment right there where I got to hold up the trophy and the gift of that. And so you got to do it more. You got to hold up more trophies because it's such a special thing. But it takes so much hard work and belief and everything else. And so, I'm excited to hopefully be able to do that again one day.
It's interesting. I've been defending Deshaun Watson for the last couple of days, and I've said, listen, these athletes don't get very long. And so Matt Stafford, he kept quiet and didn't talk about it. But for 10 years, he lost a bunch of games. And Andrew Luck didn't fire back. And he got so physically beat up, he had to retire. And so I've said with Deshaun Watson, if you believe you don't have support, you should say something. You should just say, hey, you're lucky. You've had a very good coach and you're always a team guy. But now, Russell, you are the franchise. Do you feel sometimes now going forward, your next 7-8 years, that there's going to be moments you're going to have to confront the GM or confront the coach and say, guys, this doesn't sit well with me. By the way, you guys have a new offensive coordinator. Did you give an opinion on that? Did you say, listen, we're stale? Do you feel you have a need to do that or a right to do that now?
Well, I think on the offensive coordinator front, Coach Carroll's decision. He makes that decision and everything else in terms of Shadi. I think Shadi's been a great coach. He's now in Jacksonville and everything else. And I really enjoyed my time with Schottenheimer and who he was and the coach that he was. But